to delivering my daughter, and you put me through all this. He didn't put me through any of that. Everybody has a will. You know, they have their own will. And my daughter has a will, and I am sure that God was working in her life to change her. She just wasn't changing. So he had to go to, you know, more extreme and more extreme. So she knows now who to rely on. You know, I've gotten everything I want now. She is, you know, not addicted at this point, and we believe that when she gets out, because you know, once you get out of prison, there's this whole other aspect of life. She has to back up just a little. When we go to visit her, we spend money. She can't hold money. She's not allowed to hold any kind of money at all. You get to take your $10 worth of quarters in a plastic bag, and you go in and you buy things for them out of the vending machine. They're not allowed to go past this line, and so you're stepping over and you're putting money into this vending machine, and she's making choices. And you know, we've all been to vending machines, right? There's probably, what, 25 things in there, probably? Mm-hmm. It takes her forever to decide out of those 25 things what she wants. Because for the last 5 years, she's been told when to sit down, when to stand up, when to go to her cell, when not to go to her cell. She can't make decisions. It's hard for her to make decisions. And so one of the things we've started doing is I've started getting in contact with people coming out of prison that have already come out of prison, and what do we need to do? What do we need to do to prepare her? And stories after stories that I have heard is, I've heard them talk about the first time they ever went to Walmart after prison. It's totally overwhelming because it was way too much. There was too many people, there was too many decisions, and how they had told stories of being in Walmart to the effect that I thought they were telling stories about being in a spook house. I mean, it's that same fear. The other thing is for these many years, she has learned in order to get, she has to be sort of connish, like a con man. She wants to get something. She wants to get something in prison. She has to braid hair. You know, she does hair really well. And so, you know, and that it's like a barter system. I'm going to braid your hair, you're going to give me shampoo, and then I'm going to give the shampoo to this one, and then this one's going to draw me a picture so that I can send it to my mother. But in that barter, it's how can you get the most out of this other person to give the least? That doesn't really work in society. When she gets out, she's going to have to give more to get less, you know, at times. You know, I work 40 hours a week, and doesn't mean, you know, I work for a nonprofit, so I work really hard 40 hours a week for not a whole lot, you know. But I do it because I care. I love my job. I believe about what I do. But so there's going to be some thinking processes that she's going to have to sort of change. And she went in as a teenager, so that's presenting another problem. Where are you at 18 years old? Your cognitive reasoning, your frontal lobe isn't even, you know, there's so much development that happened in an institutional setting that she's going to have to sort of reprogram herself when she gets out. So one of the things that we've set up is we have some groups that work with people coming out of prison. So I've already started volunteering for them so that I can get some non-emotional time with convicts, with people coming out of prison, because one thing I do know is, as a mom and as a professional, I've got it all up here. I know exactly how to deal with, you know, problems. I know how to talk to people. But when it comes to your daughter, I lose it. You know, I really do. So if I can get some experience under my belt. There's also family issues. I have my other daughter saying, because we have a family here in town whose son went to prison for about the same time my daughter has, and he's gotten out now, and he's trying to reintegrate to his family, as a very large family like ours. And so I went to the mom and I said, tell me what issues that you had. I need to know. And luckily we have a relationship where she is, she really is very honest with me. And she said, as a mom, and I can see this playing out in my family, she's so thankful that her son is back, that she tends to do things for him so that he will stay good or not get in trouble. And so but what does that interpret to as her other children? Is this child taking an advantage, having all mom's attention? And they're all grown, just like my kids. My kids are grown. And I can see that happening in my family. My other daughter's not understanding why I'm putting so much. There's this fear, a fear that they'll go back. But one of the things that my friend and I had to talk about is if they do go back, because the recidivism, the recidivism rate is very, very high. In Oklahoma is #1 ranked in women in prison in the nation. We send women to prison way more than anybody else. Once they've been in, the rate that they'll go back is very high. I don't have the percentage, but it is very high. She has a 15 to 20% chance of not reoffending and going back in some of the statistics. So she's got a mom that's going to try to help her not do that, but I also have to let go of the fact that could happen. And I have to realize if it does happen, what is going to be my stance this time? Because I believe that I can really help her the first time. The second time, I don't know. I may have to just go, so who knows? But I believe that anytime you have a network of support, a network of people that believe in you, a network of people who's willing to go the extra mile to help you, that you have a bigger chance than what the statistics that people are saying. And so our family is preparing for that. I have to tell you, the closer it gets, the scarier I am, and I wish we were back to day one again, but we're not. I'm really scared because right now she's where she needs, I don't have to worry about her. I don't have to worry that she's in trouble, and if she does get in trouble, there's people that can take care of that, and so, but I am looking forward to spending time with her as a sober individual. But for her to stay sober, she's got to make the right decisions, because wrong decisions and wrong choices is what's got her where she is. I don't think I sort of told you. So does anybody have any questions? No?
How old's your grandson?
He's 7. He's
now?
7 now, right. And you didn't even know that. That's a new development. Something
no, blew me away again. The story just...
It does. It just, Another thing is, in order for him to come to Oklahoma, I have to set up a residence where he can live in. And I, as an older, getting into my second part of my life, sold my house, moved into an apartment, downsized because I didn't want to take care of a big house, went back to school, and had it sort of started my life, doing what I wanted to do, the second act. That's what I'm in my second act is what I call it, and because of issues, I'm having to turn back around and go, I have to have a 3-bedroom house, a room for me, a room for Marcus, a room for her, before Florida will even consider sending him to us. That's not what I had in my plans. But as a grandmother and a mother, you put that in your plans. You do. My daughter and I, my older daughter, who lives here as well, we both have custody, and we looked at both of our lives, and she's a mom, she's a realtor in town, she has 2 children, her husband works for the sheriff's department, they've got their life sort of rolling in the beginning. It's only feasible that I change my life, and I'm okay with that because it's for my grandson, but it's, again, whose choices has led this decision to put my life on hold. But as mom, I'm going to do whatever it takes for her to be successful. And in my mind, my hope is and my prayer is that she gets back, we get her the help, her the counseling, us the help, us the counseling, and within 2 to 3 years, she's going to be well enough to take care of her son and move on. I will not, I can't expect it the minute she gets out. She's got too much stuff that she's got to reevaluate and get back into society. So I'm willing to sort of help that happen, and hopefully that once she gets out, she can get the help she needs and be a parent, because that's why she's going to school, that's why she's doing everything, so she can be a parent. So, and then I can move on. So hopefully we'll see, because I do have, 3 other children and 8 other grandchildren, so, Any other questions? Yeah.
I know you've shared a lot, but what is one thing that you'd want to make sure that anyone would know, or one thing that pops in your mind, throughout the entire...
If I could have done that one thing?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, throughout the entire story.
Throughout the entire story, just never let go of your faith in God, really. Because, hopefully I don't cry, but look, I'm going to.
I cried
You
just listening to you. I'm a dad.
Yeah, it's, if I didn't have my faith, I don't know where I would be, because it's one thing after another.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot that I haven't told you that played into this, because not only is her life influenced me, but her life influenced her little sister, who became an addict as well, out of not being able to deal with what was going on. And we walked that road with her to the point where she tried to commit suicide because she couldn't deal. So it gets bigger, but my God's bigger than that. And holding on to faith, holding on to the belief that there's a reason for all this. And I'll tell you, about a year ago, I was sitting at the stop sign, and I was behind this car, and I'm a people watcher, and I seen this lady, and she sort of got her hand on the car, and you could see her in the mirror, and she just looked miserable. And I thought, wow, that her face caught my attention. And I began to sort of, think about that. And then I seen a sticker on the back of her car, and it said, "In remembrance of," and it had a date. And the dates were very, very close to my daughter's dates, of birth and of, so she would have been about the person would have been about my daughter's age. And it started me thinking that in 18 months, I'm going to drive to Oklahoma City, and I'm going to pick my daughter up, and I'm going to bring her home. And yes, life is not going to be, peachy, but I get to bring her home. The lady in front of me doesn't have that choice. And by the saving grace of God, my daughter is still alive through all this. 2 of my daughters are still alive. The one that happened after my daughter went to prison, which was a direct effect. She tried to live her sister's life because she was going to live it better. But, she is now she's in a very, very healthy relationship. She's going to be a mom in December. Her life turned around, we didn't have to go down the road, and I get to go pick my daughter up. She's still with me, and in essence, as I was sitting there looking at the car in front of me, God did answer my prayer. She is alive. And so if anything, I would encourage anybody that's going through any hardship, these are huge mountains to me, but there's people that have experienced way more than I have. They've lost their child, or they've, they've lost their own faith. You know, her dad is no longer even a believer. And I'm believing that he will come back around. This doesn't shake my faith, it just has made me stronger. That each day, each and every day, I have to get up every morning and do what I can for God's kingdom, because he's got this all in control. And that's one of the things I had to learn, is that I can't do anything. If I could do anything, I wouldn't have went through half of the stuff I went through. But in the end, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't change any of this. Because of what I've seen happen in my life, I am so much of a stronger person. Oh my goodness. And the words of wisdom and the words of knowledge that I can give other people because of my incident, you know. And I just share. I probably share too much all the time, but I just truly believe that, you know, God has everything in control. We don't have to worry about anything. You know, I can tell you I'm worried about my daughter, and yes I am, but really I don't have to worry about her. He's got her life. And let me just tell you a really quick story. Right before she had just been arrested, and I was in my bedroom, and I was just crying out to God, and I was like, I can't believe this has happened. One of the things that we went through about 6 months before she was arrested is my husband of 20 years left for another person, okay? So we had already I'd already sort of lost my spiritual, you know, whatever. And then this happened, and then